What Roger
Yeah,
Mitchell, she's
Oliphant,
great.
I think Oliphant's just good in everything that he does.
Yeah.
He's a believable. He doesn't look like he's putting on an act. He looks like an actual guy who does do this for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you believe him as an outlaw man, or you believe him as a police officer. You believe him in his role.
As a zombie husband. Have you watched the Drew Barrymore zombie show? I love it.
Oh yeah, I saw the first season when it first came out. I haven't gotten around Santa Clarita Diet.
So
right?
it gets a lot more. All the characters get more comfortable in the final season. So in the first one, they didn't really know what they were doing, and it's still fun. But in the second two, they get into their own little rhythm, and it's a lot better.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I got to finish watching it. I remember the first season was really enjoyable. But currently, Michael is working on a movie about Sesame Street.
Hey.
And Gary Barber was another producer who did Communion. If you remember that, I think it's 1989, Christopher Walken alien abduction movie.
Really?
I remember seeing this movie as a kid, and I remember seeing the commercials for it as a kid and thinking, whoa, this movie's going to be as scary as hell. I'll get out. I saw it. I was scared. Of course, I was like 6. but I saw it maybe when I was in my 20s, and I was like, man, this movie's ridiculous. But then Gary Barber also produced Young Guns 2.
Oh, wow.
He Young Gunned.
Listen to our Young Guns episode, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, that was a really good podcast as well. We did a lot of research on that one.
Yeah.
And then he did Bad Moon, which I'm part of a movie club that I meet with every week. Kind of like when people do book clubs, I do a movie club where we discuss a movie every week. Bad Moon was my first introduction to this movie club, and that was a really interesting film as well. And then he also produced Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls, and then he did this, and then Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So Gary Barber has been killing it for a long time. So this movie had a lot of comedic background to it. Like you had previously said, Lauren Schuler Donner, she started off with Mr. Mom, and she did St. Elmo's Fire, Pretty in Pink, Dave, You've Got Mail, X-Men. You know, she's crushing it. And then she's now doing the Deadpool movies.
So this film, I guess when you kind of think about it, it's not really a cult classic, is it? And it's not really on Comedy Central all the time. It's just sort of faded away. What?
Yeah, I remember it used to be on Comedy Central a good bit, and I used to be able to see this to watch streaming wise almost regularly. I remember seeing this on Netflix all the time, but not so much now. I'm not sure why.
Do you think it's like there's funny gags in it, but it's not like good enough to be a treasure? Does that, like, you know, some movies fall into the cracks and they become cult classics? Like, you know, you brought up Donnie Darko earlier. So, like, movies like that fall through the cracks, but then people discover it and love it. I mean, this is a movie that got a big release, and it just sort of is okay, right?
Yeah. It kind of hit at the wrong time, and it's just... I'm not sure. I think that people will rediscover this movie probably maybe
after
next
this podcast.
Year.
Hey,
it becomes a huge hit. The Malloys all of a sudden are hitting us up. But I think that this movie will probably in about they'll do like a 20-year anniversary because of Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll still be on top of what he's doing right now. And this movie will get a proper release with an updated commentary. Maybe they'll have like a reunion where they all get to sit around and talk about the times of making this movie. And I think that then it'll rediscover a new audience. I mean, that happens a lot with different films and whatnot over the years.
I hope so. And there's another scene I want to talk about. It's where Pigpen goes and saves the Solid Gold Dancers. But see,
the Living Daylight scene?
I mean, yeah, the Living Daylight scene. And it's just, okay, it's obviously, you know, it was obviously meant as like an R-rated scene. And the way it plays, you're just like, oh, brother, this is such a 2001 movie. But I do think it's funny that it was Pigpen's mission to go rescue Solid Gold Dancers. Like, that's just, I don't know. Maybe because on Evolution, when Orlando Jones is like, I'm Solid Gold Dancer. But it's a funny idea. I mean, it doesn't totally work, but I just like the idea of like, there's a load of Solid Gold Dancers in there.
He's like, ladies, remove your tops now. Yeah. I don't have the time. Come on.
Jiggle the handle. Jiggle the handle.
You grab my waist. Sweet.
Yeah. And I guess
that's a funny little scene. And then when he wakes up from his dream of this, he's humping the chair, he's humping the seat,
and they're just watching him.
It's like, Pigpen, wake up! Oh my god!
And his name was Pierre. Yeah, when they talk to him, yeah, I think his name's Pierre.
Oh, like that's kind of like his spy name.
No, his real name. Remember when they're like, your name is Pierre?
That's
And he's
funny.
like, yeah, but everyone calls him Pigpen.
That's funny. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't catch that.
I think
that's funny.
So this isn't a knock on this movie, right? But it's just it's very of its time. But I guess as someone, as people who are our age, you hear the music, you hear the Jack Johnson, you hear the Sum 41, Eve 6, who I really like. That kind of makes you happy. And then, I mean, this movie, dude, it's in and out in 90 minutes.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. It's a great movie that you would play just to kind of tune out and have a good time. You don't have to pay attention to it. It's music that was music that we would have listened to when we were in high school.
Yeah, I think it's just no, you're right. Like this is, I guess, what I listened to in high. I still listen to all this stuff.
Yeah, what's even funnier was I listened to Sum 41 not that long ago, and I realized that it had been almost 20 years since their album came out.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh gosh, it makes me feel so old, because I was like, I remember whenever people would wear the Dickies pants came back into fashion.
Oh yeah.
I was no stranger to that too. And the Vans shoes, and then you wore a necktie for no reason at all, or you used the necktie as a belt.
Oh man, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
That was big.
That was 2000s right there. That was like, right? That was like 2000. Or is that when you wore it, or are you talking about 90s?
No, that was definitely 2000s. That would have been 2002, 2003.
Because like the Sum 41 guys wore the random ties.
Yeah, and it's like it became kind of cool for some reason.
Yeah.
So people started doing that. But yeah, this movie definitely is of the time, and hopefully it'll regain a new audience. Maybe it'll have nostalgia in about 10 years, and there'll be a 30th anniversary. Everything becomes nostalgic now. After 30 years, it becomes nostalgic.
I want someone to come across this who has never watched it. Zach Galifianakis, David Koechner,
yeah, right.
Like Thomas Lennon. Like what? But also, this movie, dude, it also has Jimmy Eat World, old 97s. Like there's some of my favorite. Andrew WK in this.
Ooh.
Like this is a like sort of Mix-a-Lot, Jack Johnson. There's a lot Will.i.am in here before they were big. Lit. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know we keep saying
Lit.
Foo Fighters are in this soundtrack. It's I guess if you want to go on Spotify and just crank it, it's fun. The song Anytime is good.
I remember Andrew WK, man. He was cool.
Party hard.
That album was freaking fire, man.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It was start to finish, man. You knew you were having a rocking time when you put on that Andrew WK record.
And the Malloy brothers also directed Wolf Mother videos.
I was never a big fan of theirs.
You never liked Woman?
I was never a big fan. I'm sorry.
Oh, Chris. You know what, Chris? You're fired. Imagine that. Like, you go to talk to your friend. Hey, man, you still doing Movies, Films, and Flicks podcast? No, man. Like, Mark told me that I don't like Wolf Mother, so I can't do the podcast. Like, Wolf Mother?
What? If you're fired for my friendship.
If we have a feud, Chris, I want it to be over something so petty that when we tell it to people, they're just angry that we're feuding.
Like it turns out that you don't like you don't like vanilla scented candles.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, no, man, I like orange flavored.
Chris Kelly, I don't like using scented kitty litter. I like unscented. And you're like, I can't be friends with you anymore. And like,
do you even know this to the environment?
Yeah, and then you tell people that story, and
that sounds like something Chris would get pissed off about. Yeah.
Chris Kelly. Now, hey, so any final thoughts about this movie before we get out of here?
Yeah, I wanted to just say a few things.
And then we have your recommendation, correct?
Correct. I got two of them this time.
Oh, no.
Just a few things. The actor Victoria Silvstedt, who played Inga, she was a Swedish model who had appeared in Playboy in 1996, and she became 1997's Playmate of the Year. But recently, in 2019, she produced a documentary on the Dalai Lama.
What? That's great.
She did. I thought that's awesome. So she's really trying to move forward from her career as opposed to just kind of being the hot blonde in movies, because she's about 6 feet tall. She's from Sweden. She had the very stereotypical hot blonde.
Oh, look. And her character is nothing more than a stereotype too, would you say?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it kind of hurts the soul almost nowadays to watch that. She's really like doing really good for herself and really trying to put forward some real positive messages. And I think that this is the start of it, was just her documentary on the Dalai Lama. One of the reviews that I read from the San Francisco Chronicle. Now, earlier I said it was from where Roger Ebert wrote from. I incorrectly said that he actually wrote for the Chicago Sun-Times. Mm-hmm. So I apologize for that. So this is from the San Francisco Chronicle. It said, about Zach Galifianakis, then an unknown. They said Zach Galifianakis, as the oldest and drunkest of the lot, almost makes a case for the wastrel existence. With full Grizzly Adams beard and a flair of physical comedy, Galifianakis is so obviously enjoying himself that he draws the viewer into his hijinks. Aww. He even draws laughs from a painfully derivative penis gag. And I was like, it's kind of like it's a positive, but also a really negative.
Now, I guess talking about this movie, there is a lot of derivative in this. So we're not saying, all right, so I guess if you're listening, we're not saying that this is Casablanca. We're just saying that this is a PG-13 skiing comedy that's supposed to be Animal House, and it is what it is, right? I mean, that's terrible.
If you don't get that, then I don't think you'll enjoy this movie.
And obviously, we don't condone the kind of stereotypes that are used in this movie. It's just, I guess you have to look at it a lens of what this movie was, and that's why we tackle it, correct?
Yeah. It's a fun movie. Yeah. But USA Today author Claudia Puig, she said that she gave it 1.5 stars. She said, "This is a movie that can't decide what direction it's going in. Some of the time it seems to be on a standard teen sex comedy. Occasionally it appears to be spoofing the genre. It concludes on a romantic, almost honorable note." Which I was like,
On an almost honorable note, I guess he sends her away, right? And then everyone, the mountain wins.
I think that's fair. It's like, it ends in a good note.
Yeah.
The character of Barry, who plays the new boyfriend / fiance, he's played by Todd Richards, who's a professional snowboarder.
Yeah.
And he was a member of the 1998 U.S. Olympic snowboarding team. And he's also probably the only cast member that really knew how to snowboard.
And as a non-actor, I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, I believed him. I didn't think that he was. I thought he was an actor because he just seemed natural in his own there.
When Pigpen punches his leg, I laugh every time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so insane.
He said he couldn't feel it.
No, I'm just really lazy.
So, are you really paralyzed? No, I'm just lazy. I'm like, oh. I love how Flex Alexander says, "Yeah, my willing to want to beat his ass just went down." Luke and Pigpen, their address is 132 Crazy Woman Creek Road, Bull Mountain, Alaska, and Suite 2F9884447WL Zone 77.
Wow.
And they owe $1,422.65 according to their eviction notice.
Wow. I love it.
That is so funny. But that's all that I have, and I'm good to roll it right into my recommendations.
Chris Kelly recommendations.
Mm-mm.
More, Mark. More. Sing.
Dance for me, Hoffmeyer. So, my recommendation, this is one that we already discussed, so I don't have much to go into, which was 2003's Grind.
Yep. Sweet Lou.
If you liked Out Cold, or if you're interested in going more in depth with these late 90s, 2000s kind of, extreme sports / comedies, Grind is definitely up there.
With 8% tomato meter scores. They both have 8%. This has a $6 million budget. That's nothing.
The movie showcases a whole heck of a lot of great talent. It has a lot of cool skaters. It's the basic story is kind of similar to all the other ones that were coming out there. It's basically about 4 skateboarders that go on a summer tour trying to get signed and become stars. So you know what you're walking into. You see the front cover. It's a lot like Out Cold. It's a lot of ridiculous facts, a lot of ridiculous stuff. Very late 90s, early 2000s. The one guy has the big beaded necklace. It's yep. We all had those. I had them. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I had one.
Oh, I did too.
So, yeah. I'd be interested in knowing if you can still buy those. But that movie's fun. It was directed by Casey LaScala, who was the producer of Donnie Darko.
Wow.
And he also produced the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, and he's currently doing a movie about the Amityville Horror, which he's also writing and directing.
Oh, wow.
So that one's a lot of fun. Strongly recommend checking that one out to go along with Out Cold. And another one, so the other direction that I was going in when I was thinking of my recommendations as far as where to take the next one, because you want to have a nice one that goes with it as far as sports and comedy.